Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce podcast. All right, today we're going to be talking about why e-commerce brands need a quiz funnel in 2022. We're going to show you how to drive sales and engagement with e-commerce quizzes, why zero-party data is so important, and find out how to achieve personalization at scale, which is kind of cool. All right, so welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce podcast.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
Okay, I'm at an event right now, and this is why I always talk about how great events are. So I'm in Rise in Orlando and saw two speakers, and the price of the ticket, even though it was fairly expensive, already paid for itself. So it's just so important, depending on where you are in your Amazon journey, from beginner, intermediate, advanced, but you can just learn so much. If you think you know it all, you don't. All right, so let's get back to today's topic, why e-commerce brands need a quiz funnel in 2022. So our guest is the co-founder of Prehook, a leading quiz platform for Shopify merchants. Prior to Prehook, our guest was also a founding team member and lead marketer at Jungle Scout, the leading software for Amazon sellers. And he's been in e-commerce for 10 years. Oh my gosh, my flight ended so late last night. Well, he's been an e-commerce seller for the last 10 years, and the last 7 years, e-commerce SaaS, and hosts the e-commerce marketing podcast, Cart Overflow. I'm talking to Gen Furukawa. So before we get to Gen, I want to just have a word from our sponsor.
The Legion is your go-to community where you can learn, grow, and build your Amazon and e-commerce business. As you know, being an entrepreneur can be lonely. Now you can share struggles, build a network, and celebrate your successes. And guess what? Our community is free. All you have to do is head over to our Facebook group to join. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel at Private Label Legion so you can stay up to date with tips, strategies, and advice from other experts in the industry. Okay, remember one thing. To get all this great information, follow us, subscribe, and ring that bell so you can get automatic notifications.
Okay, where is the boy wonder?
Hello.
Hey.
How's Florida treating you?
I got in, my flight was delayed, my food was delayed. So,
It sounds lovely.
Yeah. No, everything. I mean, I could have the flight delayed 10 hours, but my food delayed, that's a problem.
Oh, then that's a problem. Yeah, I understood. Well, I just want to give a quick shout out to our listeners. We have Rad and Mamoon joining us. So if you are watching live, let us know in the comments section. Say hello. I'm currently in Toronto. Norm's over in Florida. And yeah, we're going to jump into it in just a few seconds. We do have a giveaway too. We're going to be talking about that a little later on in the show. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the e-commerce side of things. So even if you are an Amazon seller, I think it's really important that you listen in and see if this is something you can work into your model. So if you have any questions at all, I know this might be new for some people. Please feel free to comment in the comment section as well. We've got a Facebook user joining us as well. Hello. And also don't forget to smash those like buttons. Give us a thumbs up. We'd really appreciate that to get this thing going. So let me see. If you are new to the podcast, make sure you join our Facebook group, Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce podcast. Also, Norm, you're going to be doing an Instagram Live tomorrow, I think at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So if you have any questions for Norm, yeah, that's right. Surprise. Let us know. And yeah, we'll get started soon. Welcome, Chuck, as well. And I think we're good to go.
So, you hit on something, Kelsey, that I think is pretty important, that we talk a lot about Amazon. We spend a lot of time on Amazon, but we've also told all of our listeners that how important it is to also make sure that you become that authority or, to help build that trust. And one of the things that you can do is build that Shopify store or an e-commerce platform. Also get content out there. Your e-commerce platform can also be where you have a really great blog or social media. And you know what? My camera, there we go. At home, I can hit my fists and do it. Now I can't touch anything. So I just got to back off. Anyways, it's so important that you do get, these other channels of revenue coming in. It could even be pointed over to your Amazon channel. But that's why we want to talk about today's topic. We've never touched on this before, but building quiz funnels. And so we have got an expert on that today. So if you do have any questions, send them over to the comment section. I know we'll probably be filling up today. And I do have a cutoff time for myself at 1 o'clock sharp. But sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee, enjoy the episode, and welcome again.
Norm, how are you doing? Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, I am doing great. So if I understand correctly, you were one of the founding members of Jungle Scout?
Yeah, I was part of the founding team. So Greg Mercer was the founder, CEO.
Yeah.
And in 2015, I joined in maybe August of 2015. And then at that point, it was just a Chrome extension. So you guys are probably familiar, your audience, with Jungle Scout, which basically helps people identify where there's product opportunities. So to scan Amazon listings and know what demand and competition are.
Hey,
basically
one sec. I got the man
What's
of the
up,
Rise
everybody?
conference, Dima Kubrick. So I just wanted to introduce. I just saw him walking by. So, anyways,
Make sure you're in headphones.
I am on headphones, but I will let everybody know that.
Agent.
Well, you're on mic, anyways.
Ah.
Yeah. Anyways, I'll let you get back.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways, sorry for interrupting. I just saw Dima walking by, so I thought I'd grab his attention.
Yeah. That is the best part of the conference, is bumping shoulders in the hallway part of the conference.
Isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, it's part of the early stages of Jungle Scout, kind of like before this the SaaS product, the web app launched, and that was kind of in the maybe the early days of selling on Amazon, when it was the Wild West of sorts, and there was a lot of opportunity. Now it is a completely different landscape. But I'm working on Prehook. So I actually co-founded Prehook with a couple of the early team members of Jungle Scout, who were the developers who built out the first version of the web app. We kind of realized that the challenges of a merchant for those who are selling on Amazon is very different, obviously, than those who are driving their own traffic, owning their own site, and kind of like running their own transactions. Main difference is Amazon is a lot about focusing on SEO and paid ads. So
Right.
you're optimizing for selling a particular, say you're selling blue widgets or widgets. You're targeting a specific keyword for a listing, because that's how you're going to get conversions. The challenge is you don't necessarily have the customer data. But if you're on your own site and you're driving traffic to your site, you could be just selling like one widget, like let's just say, for example, a multivitamin. But the problems that you're solving for that customer could be a wide variety of things. Are you looking for somebody? Are you trying to solve somebody's kind of like general immunity system or health, or are they having joint pain, or are they having aches or aging? If you're able to just ask a few questions, then you can tailor your positioning and your marketing so much better than if it were just, hey, we're going to use this one broad campaign or this one broad message to address what your needs are. So basically, the Prehook is a quiz platform for Shopify merchants, allows merchants to ask a few questions, capture an email or an SMS, and then recommend a product. So the main benefits are to increase conversion rate by simplifying the buying process, accelerate list growth as part of that, and then ultimately, what's maybe most important is capturing zero-party data.
We'll get into that in a second. Another point that I see that's extraordinarily important here is building that profile. So a lot of
Totally.
people they'll just they'll try to build a profile, but they'll answer one question or two. By building out this quiz funnel, you're really going to be able to segment that list and target to the right person. So small dog, medium dog, large dog, what kind of breed? You'll probably be able to drill down. Do you ever look at that as well as another advantage to doing what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's kind of like what I was referring to with zero party data. So just as I can take a step back and just clarify the definition of it. So
Sure.
first party data is kind of like everybody's capturing zero party data. Amazon is a little bit different because like Amazon, of course, owns the data and is very
Their data.
very restricted. Yeah, you're not going to get a whole lot of
Right.
data from Amazon. Basically, you got to fulfill your order and that's it. But if you're running your own store on a Shopify, say, then you are capturing first party data, which could be stuff like transaction history. So that's what they purchased or how much
Yeah.
they purchased. Maybe it's where they live based on the shipping address. Maybe it's some other things that you're capturing in the order, or it could be website engagement, and that's where you can get your abandoned cart or abandoned checkout or product pages that they visited, or it could be anything that's kind of like passively tracked from your email, like are they engaged with your emails or not. Zero party data is data that is proactively and willingly shared by a customer. So that means like, Norm, all of a sudden, not only do I have to like, can I gather this and making assumptions based on what type of dog product you bought, but I can ask you, hey, like what size is your dog, or what health issues is your dog having? What goals do you have for your dog? And just with those few data points, I'm able to create just the positioning and actually know you. And as you were asking earlier, it totally can change the dynamic of like the communications and the post quiz marketing. So all of a sudden, what campaigns, what products, what launches might be relevant to Norm.
So can you expand on that a little bit? Can you give us a further examples of how to use this zero party data?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do have a bunch of dog brands. Really, I think who would a quiz be good for? A quiz would be good for any brand that might just be like, or a different way of asking it is like, who wouldn't it be good for? I think maybe like single SKU brands don't necessarily find a lot of value in it because like the main goal there is, you're just trying to like sell the product. But if you can have like ask a few questions, it's the equivalent of having a sales associate in a brick and mortar location. So imagine that you're going into a store and you're asking a few questions based on like your inventory and then what Norm is trying to solve. So for example, like skincare also has a lot of value in the quiz because people don't necessarily know by shopping online what product is ideal. So the main benefit is to kind of like simplify the buying process, proactively address potential customer objections, and then you're able to like know which product should be recommended and kind of like create the supporting arguments and the marketing and the messaging around that. And it goes kind of multi-channel in terms of the emails that you're sending, the SMS that you're sending, the paid ads, and the product offerings, the landing pages that you're sending them to.
Now, usually, and I've never used your app, so I want to make that clear. But
Yeah.
I want to use your app. But one of the things I think it's important for the listeners to know is how complicated would it be? Because I have a small dog, a medium dog, a large dog, and based on those answers, then it's next set of questions, and it goes to the small dog or to the medium-sized dog owner. How tough is it to create a funnel that has multiple choice answers for each question?
Yeah. So generally, it can be as complicated as you want.
Mm-hmm.
Our goal in building Prehook was to make it a dead simple user experience, because a lot of merchants don't necessarily like, it might be smaller teams, might not have a technical team, and so that they want to just They want to get it up and running. And I think ultimately that's one of the main benefits is similar to building a list. Like, when should you start building a list? An email list is yesterday. If not yesterday, then today. And the same with customer data. And that's kind of like when you consider what the high level macro situation is with iOS 14 and iOS 15. And these are things that maybe like a Amazon merchant might be okay. Like it might not be impactful as much, but for those that are sending traffic and running their own campaigns, all of a sudden what you're building your paid ads campaign around, the targeting and the segmentation, is no longer there. And so it becomes far more expensive, and the cost per acquisition ultimately has increased for many direct-to-consumer brands in the past year or more. So yeah, capturing the data is super critical, but to make it accessible was one of our main priorities. So you can just ask a few questions, capture the lead, and recommend the product. You can also, if you're going to make it a little bit more sophisticated and tailored throughout the whole customer journey, there are definitely those features where you can use conditional logic, for example, so that you can take Norm down the path of, all right, first let's ask about a small dog. If he has a medium dog as well, then ask about the medium dog. So in that way, you can think of it kind of like a decision tree or a flow chart, where based on what your responses are, you're going to get different questions. And ultimately, that's, in the very beginning, you were talking about how to do personalization at scale. That's one way that you can do personalization at scale, is to set up the logic in the very beginning. And it frankly is not that hard from like a technical perspective in building it out. The challenge is thinking about from both your needs as the brand owner and what data is helpful for you in the segmentation and the personalization. And then also from the customer experience, what would create the best customer experience so that they stay engaged? Because ultimately, with these quizzes, a lot of the lead gen, the lead capture comes at the end. You don't want to be having people drop off, and then ultimately, whether you paid for that person to take the quiz or they just are on your website and take the quiz, you don't want them to drop off. So yeah, it's fairly straightforward to answer your question.
Yeah. At this conference today, it's an Amazon conference, but guess what the whole morning was about?
Customer data.
Building a list, customer data. It's so important. And we look at it. I still sell on Amazon. Amazon owns it. You can only do so much with it. They're dropping the carrot in front of us with the customer engagement module that they have now, but that's only so much. We've got to start looking at least for Amazon sellers. 2 years ago, I wouldn't be saying this, and aggregators would be disagreeing with me. But now I think they're more or less agreeing with me, is that you've got to drive traffic off of Amazon. You could drive, and I'm not sure, but I'm thinking that you probably could do this within your insert, as long as it's not changed within Amazon. That would be terms of service. But if you're selling a product to Walmart that has the same insert as Amazon or your Shopify store, can you just drive that traffic with a QR code over to one of your pre-hook pages?
Yeah. So just to be clear, that pre-hook is a third-party app, and it's basically a quiz that sits on your website. So it's not, it's not anything separate.
Right. I'm understanding that. So I just want to make sure, when I'm talking about even the name, you got a great name, pre-hook, but driving it over to a page, like we use King Sumo sometimes, and we that's a contest app that we use. But for it to kick in the way that you are setting up, and is it a pop-up that comes up, and then you can have a series of questions?
Yeah, great question. So the way that it appears could be either a pop-up, or it could be embedded on a page. It could be a button that you click and it pops up, or people just have it as a link. So you could see, some brands have it kind of like as a start of their customer journey. And that's especially true with some of those recurring revenue or subscription brands. Say, for instance, Stitch Fix. Stitch Fix you have to have a quiz, because by definition, they're sending you a box of stuff every month. They need to know as precisely as possible what your size is, of course, what you're interested in, pants, shorts, sweatshirts, whatever. But then also kind of more of the nuanced stuff. What are your preferences? Because if they don't hit and they send you a box of stuff that's totally off of what your preferences are, they send it back. They don't get any revenue, and you might churn out and cancel your subscription. So that's just kind of like one example of how the data is used. But there are lots of brands, I mean, and many omni-channel brands that are using Amazon. They're having their own traffic, and then maybe they're selling on Walmart as well. But the quiz is just one part of the customer journey that can play out in many different ways, in terms of like how you're using that data. And I think for Amazon sellers, and again, it's been a few years since I've been kind of like in the weeds with Amazon terms of service and tactics. Are you not allowed to kind of like have a website on anything in the package, or definitely not the listing, right?
Well, on the package, it's not a problem. Where there's been a little bit of conflict lately is they have this, they've come out and said, if you're driving traffic away from Amazon on your insert, that could be a problem. But talking to Amazon, they told me directly that if you change that insert for Walmart, or if you change that insert for Shopify or for Chewy, okay, if you change it, then it could be a problem. But if the insert remains the same across the board, that's your product. It's going out. You can't tell Dove soap what to do, or it's part of your brand. It's sending people over to your listing, and there won't be a problem at all. And you know what? I got to be careful with this, because I don't want to give anybody misinformation, but that's in my opinion from the information that I heard, what you can and can't do. I do want to ask if anybody are using quizzes right now, and if you have, what has been your success rate? Again, I'm going to get back to you in a second. I just want to let everybody know that we are having the Wheel of Kelsey today. You've never experienced it before. Just wait. But what are we giving away today? And this is over to you again.
Oh, I'm sorry. Doing an extended free trial of a quiz of Pre-Hook.
Okay.
So yeah, we have a 14-day free trial, and so we're happy to offer a 3-month free trial. I can build out the quiz. The one stipulation is that we are a third-party Shopify app. So if you are, you have to have a Shopify store in order to find value out of it. So yeah, that's kind of like the Wheel of Kelsey today.
That's an awesome giveaway. So it's 3 months, and you got the big guy that's going to be building out your quiz too. So that doesn't usually happen. So anyways, if you are on Shopify, that might limit some of our listeners today, but if you are on Shopify, just join in Wheel of Kelsey, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, get a second entry, and sit back and enjoy this really cool sort of side of the podcast we've never really talked about. This is great, talking about quizzes. So before we go any further, can we run a sponsored ad, please? Kelsey, hit that.
As you know, at Lunch with Norm, bigger is always better. Bigger business, bigger profits, and yes, bigger lunches. Z wants to make sure that your business and profits are bigger by taking you and your business international. They are a one-stop importer of record shop, including compliance and logistics services. They focus on all the elements involved in a smooth first-time custom clearance so that you can focus on what you're good at, selling. Click on the screen now or follow the link in the description box below and get 50% off your first shipment today.
All right, we're back. And again, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll get a second entry for a prize pay. Okay, now let's start talking about how do you drive sales and engagement to the e-commerce quiz?
Yeah. So It's very similar. I mean, that's why our app is called a quiz funnel, is because it's more of like along the way. It's you can't necessarily hit them over the head like, hey, buy now, but it's more of top of the funnel. You're getting them into the quiz. So that's kind of like the first step. And whether that's on the homepage. And so there are different hooks there. But ultimately, the premise is you need to add value to your customer or your potential customer in order for them to engage and in order for them to say, hey, listen, I'm willing to share some stuff about me in exchange for the value that you're going to provide, the better customer experience that I will get as a result. And so there's interesting studies. I think it was by Accenture, that people who brands that will nail the personalization experience, that offer an individualized, tailored experience, will see a higher average order value, higher conversion rate, and higher repeat orders, ultimately higher lifetime value than those that do not. And the rub here, the trick is that customers are expecting it, but brands are not able to execute on that. So whether it is about the data that they have on the customer or the tooling that they have or the know-how or the strategy, brands are kind of like falling short. And that's a customer experience gap, which is I think a huge opportunity. Customers are looking for it, but brands are not able to deliver on it. And so that's kind of like, if you as a brand are able to say, hey, take this quiz for your personalized routine recommendation, or find out what beer brand, funny enough, I don't know if you're a beer brand customer or fan, but beer brands on their homepage is plastered, what type of beardsman are you? I don't know, Norm, what type of beardsman you are, but there are different types. So you can just like say, hey, I'll answer a few questions, and then I will learn about myself as a result. And along the way, you might opt in to learn more about the different type of beard products or the different care based on what you self-identify as a beardsman. So that's all to say that in the top of the funnel, you really want to focus on creating the hook and highlighting like a point of curiosity, because as humans, we all want to learn more about ourselves. And that's the best way to say, hey, listen, I'll click on this ad and learn more about myself. And then in exchange, I'm giving you, the brand, more to learn about me so that you can kind of have a better marketing experience. So that's kind of like the top of the funnel. The middle of the funnel might be this product recommendation step. So after you've opted in, based on the responses that you give, here's a product that would make sense for you. And so one that I took recently that I like a lot is Helix. So Helix is a mattress brand. I think it's like Helix Sleep or something. And the quiz is really like the centerpiece of their marketing strategy, which makes a lot of sense because a Helix mattress is, $1,000 or more. So it's not going to be like an impulsive, I'll buy online and see if I like it. But it's a customers doing a fair amount of research. And so they're asking things like basic things like, how many people are going to be sleeping on the bed? What size bed do you want? How much do you weigh? And then they get a little bit more granular with the questions like, are you a side sleeper, back sleeper, front sleeper? Are you having pain anywhere? What are your preferences? Hard, medium, soft, these type of things. And then they'll recommend a product at the end. And I think that like that part, that middle of the funnel maybe might be what they've done. They've executed it beautifully because they use the data that they've captured about your preferences and what you're looking for. So the landing page that they take you to after the quiz is specifically working towards or speaking towards the objections, the challenges, the pains that I've identified myself. And so you can imagine that's very similar to, mattress stores are kind of a dying breed these days, but you go into a mattress store, somebody's telling you based on their whole inventory, this is right for you and here's why. And then it extends further down the funnel in the email and the SMS. And so that's kind of like where the stages of a quiz funnel is to get somebody to take it based on a curiosity or helping them to learn more about themselves, capturing the lead, recommending a product, and then getting more granular. Okay, let's use that data that you know about the customer now and create a really sharp, tailored marketing campaign.
So what I like about what you just said is, the more you drill down, the more you're going to be able to recommend products and educate your customer. So that whole customer journey or customer experience is just enhanced. And that's what it's all about. I mean, Amazon's telling us that's what it's all about. And if they're telling us that, I think we can learn from it.
Indeed. I mean, I think Amazon's data play, I mean, how many times have you bought something because Amazon recommends based on your previous history, purchase history? You might like this. I mean, I'm a sucker for it. I think that,
I am too.
yeah. In particular with books, because, I don't want to spend a lot of time looking for books, but I definitely like in the genres and the recommendations. And in a similar fashion, that's what a quiz can allow you to do. And I think ultimately, like down the line, that's where we hope to get to as a product, is some of this based on this users who purchase this or who have identified this tend to buy that. And I think that like there's a lot of power if you're able to unlock this the AI recommendation element of it.
So it sounds like it's a great play, but like opt-in, can opt-in be tough? What would be an average opt-in? And the final question, look, I'm going to layer them for you. And the last part is, how do you increase your chances of opt-in?
Yeah, it's a great question. We've seen brands and we've done case studies on it on our website of I think it was maybe 3x the opt-in rate. So the standard, so Klaviyo is kind of like the behemoth email platform for e-commerce. I think they see the benchmark maybe 3 to 5% or 2 to 5%. Anybody who lands on the site sees an opt-in will offer their email address. And so if you can kind of do back of the envelope math, we see maybe 70 to 80% completion rate of a quiz. The email kind of course, depends on a brand, can be optional. You might not even want to have it to kind of like have a smooth customer experience. So if maybe 50% will take a quiz, 70% will complete it, and then 50% or more might opt in. Who knows? So it does depend on a brand, but as we've kind of like done our conversations with brands, we've seen maybe 3x increase. So opt-in, I think it can be a challenge, but the interesting thing as well is, what are you getting with your opt-in and what are you giving up with your opt-in? For example, brands might often go with like, hey, share your email for a 10, 15, 20% discount off your first purchase. Now, what that does is that has an immediate impact on the brand equity, the customer perception of the brand, that, okay, I'm being conditioned from the very outset, 5 seconds into being the site, they're offering me a discount on my first purchase. So it depends on consumers. If I see that, I'm always going to look for a discount in some ways. But that kind of erodes from the brand equity. But then it's also profit drain. So that 10 or 15% comes directly from the top line, where you basically just have an email and you're sending them a discount right away. So you're making less money that compounds significantly over time. And you really just have an email with no data attached to it. Now compare that to a quiz where Norm has 3 dogs and they're small, medium, large, and that they have joint pain, and that they're active, and that Norm is looking for 3 meals a week for each of them, whatever it is. But with that, all of a sudden, exactly what emails or what SMS messages you're sending Norm, maybe what type of dog, what the dog's name is. And so for a good example, I saw you guys put Helix up. I think the Farmer's Dog has a great quiz. And that's another dog food brand. Ollie's also has a dog quiz. So dogs are, or pets, I should say, find a lot of value in a quiz. And here's another thing that we haven't discussed yet, is that there's the benefit of education. So you're educating the customer because about them. And so if you've Robert Cialdini, he's a kind of like a marketing expert, and so he had this book called Influence. And so there are 6 pillars of influence that will help persuade customers that ultimately it's to help optimize the conversion rate. And one of those is authority. And you achieve authority in the same way that a doctor wearing a white coat perceptibly is an authority, because they have that to distinguish themselves. But if you're able to educate a customer through the shopping experience, tell them what they might not know, tell them the benefits of the product, tell them the problems that they're having and why, then you all of a sudden are establishing yourself as an authority, which greatly increases the chances of not only them buying from you, but then buying just in general, and especially as opposed to, going to Petco or Chewy's, because you have told them what they're looking for. And so I bring this up, especially in pets and dogs, because dogs have these kind of like definitive timelines based on breed and age. So if I know that you have a Doberman Pinscher that's 7 years old, I can kind of like work the campaigns and the flows, the automations based on that. So I'm educating you like, hey, Norm, your dog might be having joint pains. Here's what we recommend you do about it, or along those lines. But applicable to all brands is that you're able to capture more about your customers and then educate them, which is very important.
Very good. Yeah, I think it's so important what you were talking about, and especially with, what is your offer? We've talked about this many times on the podcast, and if you've just got some junk offer, it's harder for people nowadays to give up their email address. So even if it's an added value, next to nothing offer, it looks like we're doing something right now with a bracelet that we've got for, it's under $2, and we're doing it's a free with purchase. So you come over to the site. If you give us your email address, you get this $30 bracelet. I mean, that's what we have it on Amazon for, but they want to investigate it. It's $30, but we get a ton of emails just by running those types of funnels. By those pop-ups come up, we get the email. Now they're on our list. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry. So that's with a purchase, or you just kind of like send it to anybody who opts in?
Yeah, so depending on the campaign. So if we're working with an influencer and we want to get them to drive over to, let's say, the site will come on if it identifies, like, it's from what I understand, it identifies the IP. If it's first time visitor to the site, it offers it with free plus shipping. If it's somebody who's bought before, then it's just offered as a free purchase if they've never given us their email before. So
Nice.
yeah, we've got that. We've also done that with knives, and we've got it with a knife and a $2 knife sharpener with a $34 knife.
Nice.
So yeah, it works. It works really well. The better the offer, the better the opt-in. Yeah.
And what if you knew maybe like their skill level or their expertise with the knife, or whether they're, it's a boning knife or a paring knife or a chef's knife or whatever, like, yeah, that you can tailor it. Maybe you have like different, like videos that you share or ebooks, chapters. Yeah, I think like that's one small example of how the data gathering can totally change how your relationship unfolds with that customer.
I'll tell you what we're doing with that, which is kind of cool, is that we're shipping them out to chefs, high-end knives, and they're providing either videos with them cooking a meal, or providing us with a recipe, and it's put into a cookbook.
Nice.
So it's just, hey, you want to use this knife? And now we've expanded the knife line for our client, and hopefully it'll expand even further. But it's right from the dollar knife that we can sell it's got a good name associated with it. So that $1.50 knife can probably sell for about $19. It's got great return, and we can use it to kind of lure in people, hook them into buying the more expensive brands or knives.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So let's talk about, so we've been touching on it, but it's the art of personalization and scale. So we've talked about how you could be a differentiator. Is there anything people can do easily just to help out right at the beginning. So it's not tough. It's just do this, and you'll start to see some changes being made.
Yeah. So, like, kind of in the product, one of the easiest ways is just using their name. And it's a simple feature called recall. It's like, hey, what's your name? And you fill it in, Norm or Gen. And then, whether you use it a lot or just, hey, Norm, so based on what you've told us, we recommend that this knife set is ideal for you, and here's why. And so, that's like classic Dale Carnegie. The sweetest sound to somebody is their name.
Right, right.
And that's an easy way, but that is very surface level, and that's like, personalization maybe circa 2000, when you'd have the meta field of first name. So that is an easy way to dip in. Then, like what we were talking about earlier, conditional logic. So Norm, because you said that you're a beginner chef, let's learn more about that and some of the challenges that you have. Or because you're professional, like maybe some other the questions that you might ask or the recommendation that you might give might be different. So that's also personalization. But I think when you can get very nuanced is in the post-quiz experience. So this is with email, or particularly with SMS, because SMS is such an intimate channel, and it's so quick to unsubscribe. You just click stop, and the engagement is so high. I mean, I've seen stats that it's like 90% open rate, and the time with which somebody will engage with it is so fast, and the transaction tendencies, the ability to basically to drive revenue from SMS is so high, but you want to use it sparingly. Like you don't necessarily want to spam a phone number, because you're almost overstepping bounds there.
Right.
But that's where what people are looking for, and that's where you can really capitalize on the data that you're gathering. So with your SMS campaigns, and so we, for example, integrate directly with tools that offer SMS as a feature. So that's Klaviyo, OmniSend, Attentive, and PostScript, which are kind of like some of the biggest in the e-commerce space for SMS. And you can whether you're segmenting the messages that you're sending or you're dynamically personalizing. So everybody will get a placeholder, like this is Norm's recommendation, this is Gen's recommendation. You're building it once, but then everybody could get a different email or a different SMS based on the data on the profile, the custom properties of the profile. So that's when you're getting more granular and sophisticated with the personalization. But it's totally scalable because it's one automation, it's one flow, but the placeholders are just the data that you've gathered, and then it automatically inserts itself.
So SMS, okay, that's one form of personalization. Can we just target the other forms of personalization? So we've got email, we've got SMS. Are there others?
Yeah, the on-site experience. So it could be, again, using the data in the quiz. So tactically, how that would work is you might have different landing pages or product description pages or collections based on how people are answering in the quiz. And so you could direct them to the different pages. You can get more sophisticated, like some of these brands that offer personalized products. Like, for example, Hawthorne is one. Hawthorne's a men's kind of like skincare or men's grooming brand, and they're building personalized product recommendations, and so it's from the shampoo to the conditioner to the soap to the deodorant and hair care stuff, and they're building a routine, but it's on site. It says, hey, this is Gen's whatever shampoo.
Right.
That's not as easy off the shelf per se. That requires a lot, but it's kind of like personalization at its highest form.
Hey, one of the things, just going back to the knife company, we can't do it on Amazon. I guess you can with what's it called? There's a customization app in Amazon.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
but we don't use it. But on Shopify, so when we sell a knife, it's the higher end knife, like it's a $100 plus to a $200 plus knife. We can personalize those knives,
Mm.
and it doesn't cost much at all to do. So, like you were saying, why not personalize the knife? It just makes it that much better, that much more of what you can increase the customer experience by having a personalized chef knife. So, anyways, I love doing that. Not only like what you're talking about, but also to our merch.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And another brand is Gainful. Gainful does this, or Native Deodorant. It's kind of like you just fill out these things. So Gainful is a nutrition brand, and based on what your body needs are or your daily routine, and you're getting like a custom multivitamin, and then it becomes Norm's or protein. A formula built for you. They do the
Yeah.
same with hair, Pros shampoo, for example. So yeah, at a product level is pretty spectacular, I think, but not for the earlier or smaller brands.
Right, right. Okay, well, just another quick, just to let you know that we've got a great giveaway today, and it's for a 3-hour extended trial.
Three
Uh,
months.
or sorry, you know what? It's late flight, no food.
Yeah,
We'll get through this.
yeah.
But
Loading
anyways,
that ad
this is
button
three
in 3
months
hours.
extended trial, and also again is offered to talk with you to help build out your funnels. And I think it's just an awesome giveaway. So if you're interested, hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you'll have an extra entry. Whew, I got out of that one. Now let's take a few questions.
Yeah, we've got some great questions coming in. Let me see. First one, I think this is a nice and easy one from Tony. I was looking for a quiz for my Shopify site. Is this an app that he can use?
Hey Tony. Yeah, totally. It is a third-party app. It's free to install. You can play around with it. 14-day free trial. So you can just search for Prehook on the Shopify App Store, and we're there.
It could be a 3-month trial if you send Kelsey $20. Just testing. He'll enter you a few more times.
Come on, Norm. We're worth more than that.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, from Howard. Do you have someone on your team that I can speak with to determine if your app will be a good fit for what my customer experience objectives are, or maybe if there's things that you can list that can help a business define whether or not if it's good?
Hey, Howard. Yeah, totally. Email me, Gen, Gen at prehook.com. If you just have a few specifics or even just your URL, happy to share some ideas and let you know if it would be a good fit. But at kind of like at a high level, like I said earlier, if you're on Shopify, for us, we're a Shopify app. And then ideally, you're using like a Klaviyo or OmniSend as your email service provider. If you're on BigCommerce or WooCommerce, there are definitely other third-party apps for that. I'm not as familiar with them as a Shopify ecosystem.
Okay. Next.
Right. Great. I'll paste your email in the comment section so he can reach out to you. And I got 2 more questions. This one is, I think, pretty interesting. From Andy, can we talk a little about some of the best performing quiz types and how we use the data? Does Prehook integrate with Klaviyo and create customer segments?
Yeah. Hey, Andy, great question. So, yeah, some of the best performing quiz types. Generally, it's going to be a product recommendation quiz. Are do really well in terms of lead capture and conversions measured in revenue. So you can track revenue. Basically, we tag everybody that's completed a quiz, and then the products that were recommended. And so we're seeing huge ROI, especially considering what our price point is. And for some of the different brands that have a higher AOV, it's huge ROI. And then in terms of Prehook does integrate with Klaviyo. And yes, you can create customer segments. So if we can get in the weeds for a minute, we send data through as a custom property and as an event metric. So that means the quiz responses get sent through as a custom property, and then also the action of a recommendation was made gets sent through, which means that you can trigger a Klaviyo flow when somebody completes a quiz. And then also you can build segments around the custom properties. So for example, if it's color, do you like red, white, or blue? You can do that. You can layer them on, you like red and you have dry skin. That's a weird example, but like you can basically like layer on different customer segments. And then also you can get even more granular with conditional splits in your Klaviyo flow. So, they like red and they have dry skin, they get this. They like red and they have oily skin, they get this. And so you can kind of like create these flows so you can get really segmented in the flow and also just at a segment level in Klaviyo.
Very good.
Okay, awesome. Let me see. If you have any comments or questions, make sure you drop them in the comment sections. We'll be wrapping up in just a few minutes. We've got just a couple more questions here from Tony. Can I send it out as an email as a quiz using Pre-hook?
Yeah, definitely. So not in the email, the quiz won't be like embedded in the email. But what you can do and what a lot of brands do is it's a call to action in the email, goes to a landing page where they take the quiz.
Okay, great. And our last question is from Rad. Is it best to drive the traffic to your website or Amazon or the Shopify website?
Yeah. So I think probably like if you're there's like the financial component of it. Like, do you make more if you sell it on Amazon or if you fulfill it yourself on Shopify? I would imagine maybe you have higher margins if you're completing it on your own site.
I would say it doesn't even build your list.
Yeah. But I mean, I
important.
assume at that point, like they'd captured the email,
Mhm.
and so after the email, you can send them to the Amazon site or you can send them to your Shopify store. But I think once they're on Amazon, then they can, there's like potential exit points everywhere, and so yeah, I think like ideally keeping them in your own brand experience, which you've worked so hard to optimize, is ideal.
Very good. I think that's it for the questions, isn't it?
All right. Yes, that's it.
Okay. So before we get to the wheel, one last chance. Hashtag Wheel of Kelsey. You want to get in twice, tag two people. Just do it within the next 30 seconds or so because we're going to have a word from our sponsor.
A big thank you to our sponsor, Startup Club, the largest club on Clubhouse with over 790,000 members and growing. They're one of the world's largest communities supporting the startup ecosystem, from founders to those wishing to work for a startup and everything in between. You can find them at www.startup.club for blogs, recordings, and a calendar of upcoming shows, and on the Clubhouse app. Just search Startup Club for daily shows 24/7. You can also now listen to their show, the Serial Entrepreneur Club podcast, on Apple and Spotify too. Stop by to connect, learn, and grow together.
Okay.
All right. It is time for the Wheel of Kelsey. So
Sit back in.
All right.
All right. Here we go.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
All right. Thank you, everyone who entered today's Wheel of Kelsey. If you are the winner, please email me, k@lunchwithnorm.com. You guys all know the drill, but here we go. We'll give it a spin. Just to clarify, you do need a Shopify site. So actually, Tony is the winner.
So that $20 went a long way, Tony.
Tony.
So Tony was actually asking about using a quiz for Shopify. So that's perfect. That works out great.
Yeah, I know Tony's product. I think a lot of people on the podcast do, and it will be perfect for this, I believe.
All right, Tony. Looking forward to connecting.
Okay. So again, your email again was just again at Prehook, correct?
Yeah,
Prehook.com. All right, perfect. Thank you so much. I swear the next time I'll be in my podcast booth we'll have a whole other type of ambiance going on. But anyways, it was really great having you on. And I think the topic today just nailed it. So thank you.
Likewise. Thanks so much, Norm, and everyone who joined.
All right. Thanks. And we'll see you later. All right, everybody. So I just wanted to give a quick thank you again. I know, I'm at an event today, so it makes things a little bit awkward. But anyways, I just like to thank all of the listeners, the whole community. And we're going to be on Friday. Kelsey, who do we have coming on?
We have Evan Paget. He's a first-time guest. So he's going to be talking about the 7 areas e-commerce brands ignore until it's too late. So check in Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're new to the podcast, we are live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So check in. We've got giveaways every episode as well. So definitely check it out and join our Facebook group, Lunch with Norm, the Amazon FBA and e-commerce collective. So
I was
if
just
you
going to
enjoyed,
say, don't forget about the Mexico trip coming up. So
that's right.
That is June 4th to the 12th. If you're interested, it's in Mexico. We're in Mexico City for the trade show. Alibaba is sponsoring that with a bunch of other people. And then we're going over to Cancun for a mastermind. I think we have about 16 people over there. So if you're interested, there is a $500 Lunch with Norm certificate. I think it's Norm VIP, right, Kels?
You can use Mexico VIP for
I
you.
knew I'd get it right or wrong.
So if you do want more information about sourcing in Mexico and if it's right for you, we're putting on a free webinar with Tim and Amy Weiss. It's April 27th. So you just go to themexicotrip.com/webinar and you can sign up there. It's completely free. And you can learn all about it there and what you can expect. So yeah, I think that's it. If you're still watching, I don't know why you'd be watching at this very end, but you can subscribe to the YouTube channel
it's
down
not very
below.
positive.
Well, we got the good stuff with Gen. Now it's just us two knuckleheads talking. But subscribe to the YouTube channel down below. If you're watching from Facebook, you can press the follow button. Follow our Facebook page and follow Norm on Instagram too. We've got a lot of great reels that you're coming out with nowadays. So definitely check it out. And you can always email me if you have any questions about the show, k@lunchwithnorm.com. And I think that's it.
All right. Well, thank you again, everybody. Join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon Eastern Standard Time. And like I always say, we just love this community. We could not do this without you. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you on Friday.
Lunch with Norm.